Alright YouTube, so on this blistering hot day, I got back recently from seeing Minions and Monsters, and I'll say the movie was about as good as I expected, so I had sort of mixed expectations from the very beginning when I saw the first amount of previews, but then after hearing really high reviews, my expectations went up, and then sort of went all over the place when I saw different previews. So overall, the movie was definitely kind of what I expected. It was like really fun and funny. I will say there was a lot of slapstick in it, but not as much as I was afraid there would be, which was definitely good. The movie had sort of a plot line, sort of not a plot line, but it's kind of what I expected. I really did enjoy a lot of the cameos too at the very beginning of the movie, especially George Lucas's cameo, because I knew he was going to be in the movie, but I didn't know who he'd be, and it ultimately made sense that the answer was right under our nose. He was going to be portraying himself in a brief cameo, and it was really cool. It was also cool to see how the Minions were doing in the 1930s and 40s, which, you know, if you know, you know what they are dark theories about what the Minions may have been doing, but I'm not going to go into that here. So it's definitely interesting to see how the Minions tried to make monster movies, and like I said, I don't think I established, but a spoiler-free review, so I'm not going to go into too much depth, but there were some surprises towards the end where, although the movie's an hour and a half long, it does feel a little longer, not because it's boring, but it just feels like it gets a lot more done than I would have expected in such a small time frame, somewhat unlike, although I did like it, the Mario Galaxy movie felt like a lot more fast-paced, whereas this one seemed to take its time a little bit, despite not being really much different in length. So it was also cool to see a little bit of the background stories of the Minions themselves, although, as you can imagine, they were incomprehensible with how they speak, but, you know, it's Minion language. But it's cool to also see a lot of the visuals and the different sort of references throughout the time periods. And yeah, overall, there were some later characters that were introduced that were really funny and cool. So overall, the movie is nothing too special, and, you know, although it is supposedly the best Minions movie, I've heard the other Minions movies have either been, I've heard mixed things. Some of them I heard were good, some I heard were bad. I think mixed reviews overall, so I guess I go back on what I said. But I do remember seeing the very first Despicable Me movie back when I was like a little Minion myself size, and really enjoyed it back then, have a lot of fun memories of it. And I don't remember if I saw 2 or 3 or when I did, but I did see Despicable Me, or is that actually Despicable Me 3 might have been the one that came out in 2024. Losing track of which movies came out when, but I did enjoy the last Despicable Me movie, and yes, Gru does have a cameo in this Minions and Monsters movie. No, I'm not going to go into too much depth for it, but hope you guys enjoyed this review. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned more soon. Goodbye.